Hi, everybody. It's me, Jackie Clayton, and my bestie, my sister from another Mr. Angie Verros here on Recruiting Live. If you're new here, I want to say you're on mute. Everybody scream, ah! No one can hear you. It's because you're on mute, but we want to hear from you. So make sure and put, thank you, Maisha, but ah! We want to make sure that we still get answers to your questions. So do put those in the questions section over here, down there. With Recruiting Live, as always, you can tweet out the information and share screenshots because we wore hats today just because of that. And make sure you add the hashtag #OurDaily. This is a 30-minute show. Make sure you get your questions in there. And as always, we are glad you're here. And I'm just going to jump into it. Hi, Angie.
Howdy. Howdy, Jackie.
Wait, I'm the one from Texas. I don't understand.
I know, but I just came back from Nashville, so I've got, this whole cowboy vibe.
So you got that over at Talent Connect. How was Nashville?
It was good. It was really good. LinkedIn always puts on a great event. So aside from just all of the massive content that you get when you go to these events, there's parties and meeting up with conference friends and all of that fun stuff. So it was really good. I was gone for 4 days, almost 5, and I'm glad to be back home though with the kiddo and the husband.
I'm so glad that you offered to do this because as I know, we just saw each other at SourceCon. Conferences are fun, but they can be exhausting. But it is always great when you can give real life hugs instead of virtual hugs to the people that you know and you meet through everything.
Yeah,
so that was
just met. I can't believe I just met you in IRL.
You're smaller than I thought.
Really?
You are, but I like it. Yeah, of course, part of the reason that you're here because I was so proud. We've worked together on articles and with Recruiting Live and HRTX, and I was so proud to have like a squad member representing at Talent Connect. How did you get a chance to do that? That's like huge.
If I tell you, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Okay, don't do that.
No. So it's actually a funny story. So 3 years ago, I went to my first Talent Connect, and I'm a little nerdy when it comes to conferences. I usually look at the app, if the conference has an app, or look at the attendee list to see who's going, so that I can go and meet people that I really want to meet. So one target that I had was Glenn Cathy, and I told him I'd be shouting him out every time I had the chance. But I had met him, and I sat in on his on his session, and I thought, I want to do that one day. And so I was brave and vulnerable, which was also another theme of Talent Connect. And I reached out to him and I said, how do I do that? How do I get back on, how do I get on Talent Connect stage? And he just said, you got to get up and you got to tell a story and be authentic and be real and give people, some entertaining with some great takeaways. And so I reached out to whoever I knew that was doing LinkedIn, and through connection, I finally got to the person who was one of the people, I should say, who was part of the show, and they said fill out an application and and we'll take a look at it. And the LinkedIn, I believe, gets a couple thousand applications for speaking sessions. So I was lucky, I guess, that I had the chance to do it, and it was my first time up there, and I had a blast, and I enjoyed it. I met so many people, and super excited, and I hope I get the chance to do it again another time.
That's nice. So it's awesome how connections through going to these things and meeting different people. It's not just about the content, but of course, that is the key of why you got on stage. What did you talk about?
So the whole theme at Talent Connect was where insights meet instincts, or instincts meet insights. And I know that through a lot of the other conferences, it's technology and AI and robots and all of that stuff. And it was a mix of how you can use both insights and instincts to be better in recruitment. And I'm super passionate, if you don't already know, I'm super passionate about recruiting generally, but also very old school when it comes to being personal and the high touch, keeping it real, getting on the phone, with a cord and things like that. So my session was called The Human Side, how to use your instincts to create, a better candidate experience. And it was a little story about how you can do good stuff and how, you know, I think sometimes people get on stage and they don't really talk about like the horror stories that happen on the candidate side. And so I told a story about what it was like for a candidate who was super, super excited about going into an interview and then had just a really bad experience and then didn't want to work there. And then talking about how you can actually do a few things just to keep it personal and entertaining with candidates, you know, and keep them interested. So that was my session. There were a few people there, so I was pretty excited about it, and I enjoyed it.
Like 2 or 3 or whatever.
I was really worried. Can I tell a story? I was really worried. I was worried because so they had an app and it showed which sessions were where, you know, the different conference rooms. And the night before, Glenn was my conference buddy, was hanging out with him for a while. And the night before, we said, let's walk through and see where our sessions are to make sure that, you know, when we get up in the morning, everything's cool. So we walked in, and so I was supposed to be at Presidential A, and I walked into this room, and it was just monster room, like 600 chairs. I'm like, yes, I'm super excited, a little nervous. And I look back down at the app, and it says Presidential Chambers A. And so Glenn's like, oh, that's that way. So we went that way. We opened it up, and it was a small room with maybe a little bit over 100 chairs. And I thought, okay, it's a smaller room, but hey, it's my first time at Talent Connect. I'll take it. You know, I maybe one day I'll get on a bigger stage. So I was really nervous about going the next morning, and I got there 1 hour early, and I met the AV guys, and they were great, and they, you know, mic'd me up, and they calmed me down. And I told this story on stage. I had a dream the night before that I got on stage and everybody came in. So this was the first slot after the big Nashville party that they had. They shut down part of downtown Nashville. They had bands. They had dancing. I mean, crazy stuff. And so I'm on at 9 o'clock right after that, along with some other amazing speakers. And I thought, well, you know, who's going to come to my session? So I had a dream that I walked up on stage and I said, so I know that y'all had a really good time yesterday at the big party, and if you're super tired and you don't feel like sitting in on this, no problem. Feel free to go. And everybody got up and left. That was my dream the night before. And so I started off my session with that, and nobody got up and left. So I guess it was a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. Trust me, people who have gotten up after partying at a conference to see you speak, it's on purpose. It is not by mistake, Angie. People came to see you. They woke up through their hangover to see you. So they know you were going to share information and be soothing and give them something that they needed, or else they would have stayed asleep. I would have, right? I know people would have, you know.
Well, you watched it live. No, I'm just joking. I'll send you the video.
I did watch it live. I watched Talent Connect live. I was in it. Life happens. But I was in and out. I have never been to Talent Connect. I have always watched live. So I always kind of feel like I'm a part of it. And I know there's a lot of people who, you know, never been able to go or don't have the money to go or the insight. And that's why it's so cool, because you're so big about sharing with people. And I knew, like, I'm grateful that you're here to tell us, like, what Connect like.
It was great. I mean, there were some really great keynotes. Brene Brown spoke, and she spoke about vulnerability and courage, and that resonated a lot. You know, it was funny because she was sharing a story about how, as adults, we're fearful sometimes of talking to strange people that we don't know. And if you think about it, Talent Connect was a room full of 4,000 or 3,500, 4,000, you know, people, and a lot of people were there for the first time and they don't know each other, right? And she made a really good example. And if you think about it, I mean, we both have kids, Jackie, right? My kid, I'll walk her into the dentist office and there's 4 other kids playing with blocks or whatever, and I'll say to her, go play, and then all of a sudden she's got 4 new friends, right? No fear. And then here's me, I'll walk into a room full of people and I'll sit down and there's 10 people at my table, and I'll pick up my phone to start tweeting because I don't want to talk to those people, because it's a sense of, you know, whatever, insecurity, being scared, whatever the case was. So she made a really good point about that. And then we had Matthew Lund, who is the storyteller for Pixar. He was funny, entertaining. He gave some really good stuff. And the VP of Talent from Pandora. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she was Sarah Wagoner. She was awesome. She told us her story about how she followed her gut. You know, she was supposed to go one direction and she ended up going another direction. Now she's the VP of talent at Pandora. She loves music. She shared her insights, shared some amazing jokes. Deborah Francis White was the MC, who also spoke at Talent Connect either last year or the year before. She's a comedian, hilarious. Oh my gosh, am I missing anybody? Project Runway.
Yes, he was
Tim, yes, and that was good too. So he, you know, he was funny. He cracked a bunch of jokes, and it was great. You know, I got to meet a lot of the LinkedIn folks. So the keynotes were great, and then you had, you know, a lot of the great sessions. You know, unfortunately, I did miss Glenn's because he was on at the same time. But you know, he always does an amazing job. You had the social talent team there, Johnny Campbell, Dave, Vincent. They did a, you know, they had a session. Another really great thing was HROS did a session. So Lars and Ambrosia, you know, filling the community with how awesome it is to share and help each other out in this industry. Who am I missing? I mean, there were a lot of really great sessions. And then just the networking piece, you know, getting to meet so many people in our space was something that was, you know, was pretty amazing. You know, you're connected with so many people on social media, and then you meet them in real life, and it's like you feel like you know them, just like you and me, you know?
I know. It was like nothing. Like, you know, like I said, you just fall into it. It was like you fall, and no one expects you, PS, to remember all the sessions that were going on at Talent Connect. You know, like people can tie into that. But it's important to share, like, what was memorable for you because, you know, we trust your judgment. Everybody here trusts your judgment. But you did bring up a couple of things I'm curious about because you mentioned about the vulnerability and how they were talking about connection, and we know it's called Talent Connect, but was that the overall theme for Talent Connect this year? Was about the vulnerability, or what's the overall theme?
It was insight versus instincts. So it's taking the data and then taking your instincts and using those together to be powerful, right? So there were sessions just about that. I'm sure everybody heard too that they did launch a new product that's going to be coming out, which is going to be called Talent Instincts. Talent Insights. It's the analytics piece, right? So now you can go back to your hiring team and show them real data. You know, there are X amount of engineers in Athens. It was funny, they used Athens as an example in a couple other countries. And you can go back to your hiring team with insights, actual real data, as opposed to just no data at all. So that's a product that is going to be launching. They introduced partnerships with a lot of applicant tracking systems, so that was pretty exciting. They have their LinkedIn lounge, so you were able to go in and do product demos. You were able to go and get your profile pictures, you know, a number of different things as, you know, like they normally do. But the overall theme was where, and I might be saying it backwards, but where insights meet instincts, or instincts meet insights, how you can use those two together to be powerful.
Well, why do you think so many people like demonize LinkedIn? It's funny because everybody's like, oh, LinkedIn, and then 4,000 people show up for, you know, this huge event. Like, do you think it's fair? Or, I mean, you still use LinkedIn, you know? It's like,
I do. I mean, I use LinkedIn. I've been a LinkedIn user and a fan for a number of years. I think that the restrictions that LinkedIn has had in the past, and maybe still to date, are I'm not a pro on LinkedIn by no means, but I think some of those restrictions have caused, you know, some people not to be fans of LinkedIn. There are a lot of corporate customers that do use them. Obviously, 4,000 people were at this place. So, you know, it works for some and it doesn't work for others, and I get it, you know. So I think that there's going to be a story to both sides, and, you know, to each their own, right? You know, I don't use LinkedIn as my primary, as my primary source, but I do use LinkedIn, you know, and I have my profile up there, and I do go and send messages to people when I'm unable to find their contact details. But I think that maybe the noise, I mean, you clearly asked me that question. There's people out there thinking the same thing. Maybe that noise has reached back to them to make it maybe easier for integrations, for partnerships, and things like that. So maybe, you know, I don't know. I mean, they do put on an awesome party. So that's what I had heard before attending any one of the Talent Connects. So that's definitely a plus. And then the networking. You know, where else are you going to be in a place where you have 4,000 like-minded professionals that you can network with.
Well, and what kind of people were there? Was it all, you know, did you get, because that is a huge group, all, like you said, like-minded talent acquisition specifically, and connecting, networking, business networking. But what kind of people did you see overall? Were there mostly recruiters, or is it, who do you think the target audience? Anybody who uses LinkedIn?
So I think the target audience has been historically LinkedIn customers, so internal corporate customers, any recruiter or recruiting manager or higher level, you know, in the recruiting function has been at these events. I know last year or the year before they actually opened it up to staffing firms. Yeah. I know that because I was working for a staffing firm, and they had a private session for just staffing folks. So they did open it up to staffing people. So it's corporate users. You know, there were big names. I mean, there were people there from Amazon, obviously Pandora. There were, you know, the T-Mobile team was there, and they made it very apparent because there were shout-outs to T-Mobile. You know, a lot of corporate names. And then, you know, there were also other people there from, you know, Randstad was being represented. I think some other large staffing agencies were there as well. And, you know, I guess maybe not all like-minded people, but all in the same place for the same purpose, to learn, bring back home what they've learned, take it to their teams so that they can learn, you know, and people like that were there. There were a lot of new people there, which I wasn't aware of. You know, I guess maybe because it's my third time, I just feel like I'm seeing a lot of the same people at these events. But I think 80% was the number that was floating around. About 80% of the people at Talent Connect this year, they're all new. So yeah, there were a lot of first-time people, first-time recruiters, a lot of newer recruiters. I asked the audience, and most of the people that were in my session were first-time LinkedIn Talent Connect attendees. So interesting crowd, you know, interesting crowd. I really do enjoy attending LinkedIn Talent Connect. I do have to say that.
That's perfect. As a side note, I will let everybody know we have 12 minutes left. See, every time we do this, it's like we could do this for hours, but we do have 12 minutes left. If you have questions, put them in there. And again, you can send them out with the hashtag #OurDaily. We'll make sure they get them answered. If we don't have time, we'll make sure and send them to Angie, and she will answer them graciously, as she usually does in sharing information. Oh, your shirt. We both have on shirts and hats today. Yes. I was trying to fit in with you, but what is your shirt? You said you got one from town.
I'm not like, what does yours say?
I'm not like most teens. I'm in my 40s. I have it because
I want to promote like that.
I carpool my teenagers everywhere, so it's like, I'm not with them, you know.
Well, you're cooler. No, you're cool, Jackie. They had a party. They had a party in downtown Nashville. They actually shut down part of the street. And there were two bars or saloons. One was called Famous. Oh my God, I'm not going to remember the other one. So there were buses that took us to the downtown venue, and they had you could ride a bull, like one of those jumpy places, but you can actually go in and ride a bull. There's some videos floating out there about people riding bulls. I was too scared. Just not to fall off of the damn thing, but to get on it, so I didn't even attempt it. There was live karaoke. There was a lot of country, obviously. They had a bunch of bands over by the riverfront, and then they had fireworks shows. They had, you know, light up cotton candy. They had buffets all over. So it was a really nice thing. And this I really like this. So there was a place where you can go and you can screen print your own shirt. And so this is it.
Oh, that's cute.
Right? Nashville Nights, Tennessee, Talent Connect. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we were able to go in and we picked the shirt. And then we actually did you know, we were actually doing the work, right? I mean, you see the gesture, and then it goes through the dryer, and then they give it to you. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, they gave out cowboy hats and you know, other fun stuff. You know.
That is so funny.
Good stuff.
I can imagine they would do the same if it was Texas themed, right? You have the hat, the bulls, make sure keep it separate.
Yeah. But I mean, a big music place. There was music all over. They had a bunch of bands playing music. So you know, as far as you know, on the entertainment scale, they always do a really good job on the entertainment side. But the content was also very good. You were able to get a lot of information from some of these people. For me, I take back, and if I'm able to take back a few things from these events, that'll help inspire me to do something, take action. Because think about it, a lot of people go to these events and then they just leave, and then that's it, and they don't take action on that. So if people went to this and are able to go back and make actionable items happen out of it and be successful, I mean, that's the whole purpose, right? For me, I was inspired to, to not be more scared than what I am right now. And, I'm one that's usually not very shy, and, not very shy. Let's leave it at that. And I will take a few risks, but, deep down, everyone's got, butterflies in their stomach. So hearing some of these people and how they got to where they're at just because their gut told them to, that's pretty inspiring to me.
What else do you think that you learned that you're going to take back, or that you see yourself implementing in the next, 30 days?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a good question. I think just to, at least for me with my crazy schedule, to try to manage my time a little bit better. I think that, the LinkedIn does a good job about giving you an app, and you're able to go through and pick your schedule and manage it and create your own agenda. I think just really being on target with what I really want to do is something that I'm going to focus on, because sometimes I feel like as recruiters, we're all over the place. We're talking to candidates, we're sourcing, we're screening, we're doing so many things and multitasking, and sometimes that multitasking turns into clutter, and then you're not able to do much. But I think just to really put more focus on where I really want to be and what I want to do is something that I will push going forward. And I think that was my inspiration, from some of the keynotes. Data is something that is huge and is used by so many, but sometimes people don't use the data correctly. So I'm going to take what I heard and learn and see how I can be more of a data-driven person and use those measurements and statistics to help me be more successful. I think those are the things that I'm really looking forward to. And then I will go back, because I obviously wasn't able to see all of the sessions. Right. I will go back to the live stream and I'll review, and I'm sure there's going to be so much to take away from some of that, some of those sessions that I missed.
I think people don't realize, like, you and I have been in this industry for a long time, from agency, working with corporate as well. I think there was a time when recruiters, all we did was recruit. And that's changed between branding and, engagement, and the career sites have changed. There's been so much added to it. I mean, we know they launched, LinkedIn added their live video stream, which was kind of, people are like, why do it? But then you see that you can actually share with your target audience. I think we're seeing a sign of people going back to using tools for what they were originally intended for. LinkedIn seemed to have moved over to try to be kind of more Facebooky, or like some of the apps that have been more popular. But it's different when you see, there's a difference when you see a video primarily focused towards the right audience from a recruiting standpoint, and making people more human.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you know what, there was discussion about video and how video is big, right? And how a lot of people are resorting to video. I mean, you have to have some sort of video in your, whether it's your website, your job descriptions, or whatnot. I don't remember the number, but I mean, we all know, right? I think it's a human has an 8-second attention span. So if you catch them right away, then they're hooked. But if you don't, you're not. There were two other things that I did want to comment about. So the Sarah, the VP from Pandora, did say something, and I tweeted it. I don't remember the exact word, but doing crazy things get you somewhere, or being, doing crazy. Something, it was about crazy. And I really, really like that, because she stepped outside of her comfort zone, which I really liked. And then the CEO from Black Girls Code was also there, and she was talking about, and it resonates with me about girls coding generally. I don't remember the stat, and I tweeted the stat as well, but the amount of young girls who don't have the luxury to go out and code because they're not, they don't consider them to be that type. And I have a little girl, and she's in coding class, and I think that that's so important. So her talk was very inspirational about how people are doing things to get others involved in places where they thought they didn't fit in. So I thought that that was, that was pretty cool. So yeah, I think, just the bottom line for me, just taking all of that and then really focusing on where I want to be. Like you said, there's branding, there's recruiting, there's sourcing, there's so much out there, but you can't just do it all, You can't be really good at all things. You have to pick a place and focus on what you really enjoy and what you're really passionate about, and then focus on that, and then I think you'll be successful. So that was my greatest takeaway.
Well, and I'm glad that they shared so much data. I think people forget that, it's going to give us some of the answers to the test that we've been looking for. Why is it so hard to recruit certain things? Do we have a candidate shortage, or, are we just missing the boat and not looking at it? But it also helps us as recruiters, streamline our day, because you said earlier people can be all over the place, but then you have the data to be able to look at and figure out exactly where you need to be as recruiters. Where do your focus need to be? And people can bash LinkedIn. I know I recruited before there was a LinkedIn. I was glad and grateful that there was a LinkedIn that was there. And I think what's important too is that people look at what they offer. Talent Connect is huge for sharing. They have speakers, but they have real customers, and they have real people that are there seeing it, and they want to show the best, part of LinkedIn and how it can help people make placements or make those connections as well. But it's funny that they said insights and instinct, because, how do you know if you have the right instinct? Well, I think sometimes the data will help you in order to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think LinkedIn, like you said, a lot of people do bash LinkedIn. And I think that, I don't know, maybe it's just an assumption. I'm thinking they're starting to listen more. I think it's very important when you need to listen to your consumer. Because if we're on there and we're using it and, we see what works and what doesn't, as far as I know, whenever I have any kind of feedback or any thoughts or concerns, I can always go back to the folks that I know over there, and I'm able to be honest and transparent and let them know how I feel, and I'm thankful for that. Not everyone's going to get what they want, That's just the nature of life. So you take what you get with it. You're not always going to take back 100%, but, I'm grateful that I was there. I'm grateful that I was a speaker. It was something that I really wanted to do for a number of years, and so I'm going to take that and take whatever I can and bring it in to help me be a more successful person.
Well, let me ask you this. We have about 2 minutes, but if someone's thinking, oh, it's just a user conference, like, then why should I go to that? Maybe it's not important. Or if there's somebody who's considering it for next year, what would you tell them about Talent Connect, about what to expect and why they should attend?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think going back and looking at some of the live streams would be helpful to help somebody determine if it's a place for them to go. First of all, I think you can only be a LinkedIn customer to attend this event, so you have to be a LinkedIn customer. But I would go back to see who the previous speakers were, what their topics were, what the whole conference was like, just to have a better idea, because I'd want to know what I'm going to learn about. I'm not going to go and attend a, Salesforce event if I'm not recruiting Salesforce people. But I will go and attend, a LinkedIn conference, knowing that there's a wide variety of topics being discussed. I mean, here there were topics from AI to, different datathons to the human piece to, just so many different topics that were being discussed. So I'd go back and see and think, if this is going to help me, then I would attend. But if the content's not there that's going to help me in my role, then I probably wouldn't.
You said datathon. What's a datathon?
Oh, there was a client who apparently doesn't have a very well-known name in the industry for candidates, and they were trying to attract young candidates right out of college. So they did datathons, kind of like hackathons, but they were more data-oriented. So they did datathons, and then they were able to offer prizes like scholarships and things like that, and get a number of people into a room to do data stuff. That was pretty.
Research it. That's kind of cool. I never even heard of that.
I'm sure they live streamed it so you could find it. Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, I appreciate you. I know you have to be exhausted. I was exhausted for a couple days after SourceCon, and then had to travel on that side. So I know that and all of that is action packed. So I appreciate you so much taking the time. I know, like I said, I know.
Anything for you, Jackie.
And I can't wait to see you in Chicago at HRTX. That's coming up.
I know. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody who's attended. If you're unfamiliar, you can go to recruitingdaily.com. I've never worn the hat. I don't know if people don't know that's what it is, but I'm glad that you're there. Have a visit there, and always connect with us. You can connect with Angie. Tell everybody your Twitter.
It's Angie Verros, at Angie Verros. I tweet a little bit, so I'm sure you'd be able to find me. On Facebook. What?
The R's are important.
2 R's, yes. And if you're looking for me on Facebook, it's Angie Verros Angelopoulos.
That's my favorite one. If you're not sure about that, you can ping me, and I'll make sure that you have the right one. But thanks again, and we will see everybody next Friday on Recruiting Live. I appreciate you, and this is being recorded, so we'll have that so you can add this to your list of videos to watch this week. So
awesome.
Thank you. Thanks so much, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay.